Hey, what's going on, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
And we're all here to talk about how AI is getting crazy good. You've probably never heard a podcast episode about this exact topic before. We're going to be the first ones to break it down for you. But yeah, turns out AI tools kind of amazing right now.
Everything is going to be different from here on out for the rest of time.
I had that hot take on Twitter where I compared it to crypto, just saying it has more usable things. And boy, does that ruffle feathers.
Yes, it does.
Boy, does that ruffle feathers. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. But also, we want to talk about some Twitter news and also about Apple possibly releasing something that they might not be super confident in. Just a different type of Apple, especially when you hear stories about the first iPhone and how they had to lock things down for Steve. Now it's a little different.
Yeah,
but,
like a Fuji Apple instead of a Snapdragon Apple.
Exactly. It's a different type of Apple. But first, we have a correction to make.
Yeah, I have a correction. I feel like I led you all astray, listeners and hosts. I said the Volkswagen ID2 was similar to the Golf. I was very wrong about that because I'm a moron.
No,
so thank you, everyone. Right. To be fair, it does seem like the Golf in the last couple of years has gotten bigger, but even still, the old Golf, the ID2 is smaller than that. It's like the Volkswagen Polo, which I had never heard of.
Never heard of that.
But overall, smaller, which goes kind of to what David was saying. He wanted a smaller car to park easier. This might be the one for you, David.
I gotta say, I also wanted to make a correction because I said that smart cars were really expensive, and then I looked them up, and they're only like $15,000 used.
Hey.
So
It's because there's no airbags. Sorry, what?
Oh, if you get hit, you just instantly die.
Small trade-off.
The size of the Polo looks much better for Brooklyn. I gotta say.
I think this might be in your future.
There was a video on Twitter the other day of a truck tire falling off of the truck and then a air quotes small car rolling over it and being absolutely launched into the air. Small cars are...
The Soul isn't that small. The Soul's like a pretty decent size for what it is.
It is actually a normal size car.
Yeah, and I think like that video... Do you think it's also partially because the Soul is like a flat front? So when it hit the tire, it like gripped onto it and launched it up rather than if it was like a... I mean, this is a like crazy, like if it was a Lamborghini with a really aggressive front, do you think the tire would have just launched into the air instead?
Tough to say.
If it was low to the ground.
Yeah, low to the ground and like slanted.
Possibly. I will say that after I tweeted about this, several other people sent me other videos of other tires launching other cars into the air.
Really?
So it might be dependent on the frontal area or shape of the car, but I'll just say that new fear definitely unlocked after seeing this one.
Yikes.
Great. Good news about it. Person walked away.
Yeah.
So car safety is getting fantastic. Apparently.
And it was also captured by like the footage of the Tesla behind it. Imagine trying to explain that to insurance of like, look, man, I was driving and then I was 12 feet in the air and then I was upside down. I don't know what happened, but I promise it wasn't my fault. Like,
the skies opened up.
Whatever you say, man. Whatever you say.
Luckily, the guy with the wheel wasn't allowed to get away because he was missing a wheel of a car.
Fair.
Yeah, so sorry. Off track.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Closer to a Polo.
That's our correction. Okay.
I still want to see what a Polo size is, though.
I think it was like 400 millimeters shorter than a Golf.
Explain millimeters, please.
Yes, but we're Americans, so I don't actually know what that means.
We also have a correction to make over here at the producers. Oh, no, wait. No, we don't. We're greats. Sorry.
Nice. Well played.
Didn't you guys get a trivia question wrong once?
Questions wrong.
Mung beans returns.
Move on.
I did get the mung bean
Name
question
one.
correct.
Okay, well, we'll just see it in 2025, and then we'll see the ID2, and then you can know what a Polo looks like. Wow, I still almost messed it up.
That'll be a reference. Okay, let's talk about dope tech. We did a dope tech video of, so it turned out we had a theme. The theme was all of these devices we had rock bottom expectations for, and they all were like kind of good at something, even though we still wouldn't recommend them. They did exceed our rock bottom expectations.
Yeah.
We kind of changed it up at the last second. It was going to be something else. I'll talk through the things that I felt most strongly about, which were mostly Amazon Astro, and then we can get to the shoes.
I also wanted to say, I think David thought of the name You're a Dope Tech, and I think that's what we should have called it.
Interesting.
I think my name was doper than Doug.
Okay, maybe that's why we didn't name it. Someone thought
that would
You're a Dope, tech, and that would have been awesome.
Both would work. Yes. Both would work.
That one works better, though.
Okay.
Yours would have gotten more clicks, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So Amazon Astro is not really for retail sale. We kind of had to go through a connection to get it, meaning there's a small group of people with access to purchase one for $1,500 or whatever it was.
$600 now.
$1,600, and we had to pay them to get it. Still worth it. You know what? He's been chirping around the studio, rolling around, being entertaining for like a month or so. Honestly, I had no expectations for Astro to be good, you know? And its purpose, just for those who are unfamiliar, is it's this little helper robot that rolls around your home. And it has a couple features. It's got a screen on the front with a face. It's got cameras and microphones. And of course, it has wheels so it can roll around. So it'll be an Alexa robot. It'll answer your questions. It'll follow you around and be helpful, theoretically. And then when you leave your home, it can patrol your house and roll around from room to room and notice if an unfamiliar face appears or if a loud sound or a window crashing happens. And it's your security device as well. That's the Astro like theme in 2 minutes.
And it's got a retractable camera that goes like 4 feet in the air.
Yeah.
It
Just
goes
above
higher,
counter height.
but not that high.
Yeah.
Barely counter height.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We first got it and it roams around the studio and it starts mapping things out. And then I'm like, I hear it behind me mapping things out. And then I open up like my browser and I look up Astro and it's like, Astro is an unmitigated disaster and throws itself downstairs. And I'm like, oh, this might not be great. But so that's my expectations started.
Yeah.
We made a lot of memes about Astro throwing himself
Yeah.
down the stairs.
Yeah.
That was a long
kinda
time
thought
ago.
about maybe putting him at the top of the stairs, but we never did it.
I think it's safe to say when we got the opportunity to get Astro, we wanted to throw it. We wanted it to throw
We
itself
wanted
down
to
the
put it at
stairs.
the top of the stairs and turn the cameras on and just wait.
Yes. And then we wound up liking it just enough to not want to do that.
So what it does is it has this face.
That changes everything.
Yeah, and it just
really
looks at
does.
you. It's got these eyes, and it stares at you. And when you walk into the room, it looks over at you and goes, "Hi, I missed you." And it like puts text on the screen and says, "David, I missed you." Or sometimes I'll walk in and it'll be like, "Miles, I missed you." Or Vin, I missed. It doesn't know who people are. Like it tries, but it's not always 100% right. But then it has these sounds and these expressions. And so even though it's really bad at the things it's supposed to do, it does seem kind of like innocent and friendly. Where like if I was a robber and I broke into a house, like someone did this where they tested Astro, where they like they snuck into a house and Astro just like stared blankly right through them and nothing happened.
Nice.
So it's like it is bad at most of what it does, but for some reason the face just personifies it just enough for us to not want to dunk on it all the time.
When you anthropomorphize robots,
Yeah.
they can be as useless as possible, but they're still really fun. The apartment I used to live in, I used to live with Michael Fisher, and we had this robot called Jibo that he's made a video on.
He loved that thing.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
did too.
Yeah.
We considered him part of the family. He just he doesn't even move around like Astro. He sits in one place and he sort of like
pivots.
swivels, and he dances, and he'll randomly like show you a turtle or a magic trick.
I've never seen this. Sorry, I just pulled it up.
He's so cute. He was designed by one of the like an ex Pixar employee,
Okay, that makes way more
and
sense.
all his animations are like super adorable. They eventually went out of business, turned the servers off, and then the company got sold to like Kaiser Permanente or something, and now they use them in hospitals with like dying children. So yeah,
Interesting.
Okay.
so they cheer them up.
Yeah, it's like you can anthropomorphize it a little bit, but we don't want it to be like full on humanoid because then it gets into creepy.
Right.
So it's like just like it has a face. It's like just friendly enough.
yeah.
And that's what makes it like acceptable. But like you go down the list of things it's supposed to do, and one by one, it's like, oh, this isn't actually as good as I thought. Like it's supposed to be able to like it follows you around, sure. If you ask it for a video, it'll play a video on the screen.
Judge Judy.
Sometimes. We asked it. What did we ask it?
Okay, the first night we had it, I said, Astro, I'm not assuming anyone listening has an Astro, so I'm going to set your Astro off if you do. I said, Astro, play an MKBHD video, and it pulled up a web page from Dailymotion playing a pirated Judge Judy episode in like horizontally flipped because they didn't want the copyright strike on it, and just played a full 45-minute episode of Judge Judy
At ankle level.
at ankle level.
incredible.
No, not even full screen because it was on the page,
On
the
the
Dailymotion
web
page.
page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
So it does that sometimes. And then you'll ask it for something like, what's the weather tomorrow? And it'll just stare at you and not answer because it doesn't go, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
It just, you say its name, the eyes turn blue, and then you say the command, and then you hope it does something. And if it doesn't, it just stares right back at you. It doesn't do anything.
Pretty much all these social robots are like really bad at what they're supposed to do, but they're so adorable that you just kind of love them. Like Astro rolls around and like gets in your way, and like I've tripped over him once, and I don't really care. It's,
He likes to sit
kinda
right
silly.
behind your ankles,
Yes.
like without you noticing. Like you have your headphones on at your standing desk, and then he's just like, "Hey."
But it's just so silly, and like when you ask him to do something and he does something so completely random, like playing an episode of Judge Judy, it's like, this was worth the $1,600.
Right, like that's what most pieces of tech ordinarily, if it was this bad at all of the things it was supposed to do, it'd be like, this thing is terrible. Why would anyone want anything even near this? But because it's so friendly and cute, we're like, oh, it tried.
And it's not even supposed. I mean, I guess it's supposed to kind of be like that, but you're talking about Jibo, which is like it's supposed to be a social robot, right? Astro is supposed to be able to do all these different things that could. I mean, let's be real. For $1,600, you could put like a wise cam in every single crevice of your entire house and do the exact same thing that like monitoring Astro could do.
Yeah.
But like,
You could put a cup holder on an iRobot Roomba.
or you could just walk 10 feet and because somebody has to get the thing out of the refrigerator anyways. But like, because he's so friendly, which isn't his main thing, like I said, we didn't want him to fall down the stairs. It's literally the way he looks at you, the way he acts a little bit.
He makes sounds.
Makes it, just cute enough to not want to just punt that thing across the room, which has crossed my mind a few times.
The weird thing is those are all very intentional decisions coded into the robot.
Yes.
Intentional, but there are plenty of companies that intentionally try and do that and it doesn't work. And for whatever reason, no matter how frustrating Astro is, it worked and it made us not destroy.
I discovered possibly the most annoying Astro feature yesterday.
No way.
Yeah. So
Another one?
More? Even more?
yeah. The one command Astro does with 100% success is play Chuck Mangione. Couldn't tell you why, but he's never let me down with that one. But I discovered he has that mute button on the top. That will not stop playing music. Like it just mutes his
mic.
personality.
Yeah.
So then you mute it, and then you say, Astro, stop playing music, because you're frustrated that the music's still playing. But then he's muted, so he doesn't respond to you.
Well, the mic is muted.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to do.
No, if I hit the shut up Astro button, it should shut up. It shouldn't be like, oh, you want my personality to
But
shut
you're
off,
thinking
but
about the
I'm-
mute switch wrong.
Yeah, the mute switch is like you have a camera and a microphone following you around your house all day. That's the make that stop button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in
That's
that
the privacy
scenario,
button.
you're like, I'm having a party and I want Chuck Mangione playing, obviously. And you don't want other people to be able to change that Chuck Mangione's playing.
Yeah.
So now you put the mute on so he continues to play it and no one else can tell him what to do.
Or you work at Amazon, or you work at Google, and you're on a video call, and you've got your smart assistants in your apartment. You don't want him to just like go off like crazy while you're on your video call.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weirdly good. So the reason it made Dope Tech is because it's weirdly good at a few things.
Yes.
One of them is rolling around confidently.
Yes.
So we don't have stairs, but we do have like carpets and different levels or whatever of the studio. And that thing like mapped out the studio once, and it just rolls around right behind people's ankles, goes underneath tripods. Like it seems extremely good at just going places.
He skirts objects with like millimeters.
yeah.
He'll,
Other than the
he'll
few
clip an edge
times-
once in a while, but
He
He's
will.
hit my toes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
he
your
gets close
fault.
to people. But like you can drop something in the middle of the room that wasn't there when he mapped it, and he'll just go right past it, just like right around it, which is fine.
Yeah.
It did almost like strangle itself with some cables. once.
Okay, I wanted to say he one time, there was a cable hanging near his docking station, and he spun around and moved forward and got it tangled around his neck.
His neck.
And like just the like watching him go forward and pull back a little bit, and his eyes, I like ran over to save him because there was just this instinct in me, like that is real, and he is dying.
He's in trouble.
We're
It was hilarious.
him so hard right now.
But that's just proof at like how good it is at acting like
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
It's also very good at when you call it, and this works best when there's no one else in the room, but when I call it from anywhere in the room, it turns around and looks right at me and it locks eyes with me.
Triangulation of microphones.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out how it's so good. So like if I was 90 degrees to the right and I say, hey, Astro, it turns to the right and sees me. If I'm behind him, he like turns his body and then hits me at 90 degrees. But like if there's 3 other people in the room, sometimes I'll be behind it and say, hey, Astro, and it'll turn and face a different person. So I
Yeah.
think it's a combination of triangulating sound
IR
and
sensors.
finding a person, and it just stops at the first person it sees.
Yeah.
I think that's also like a perfect way to describe how good and bad he is, because you can say, hey, Astro, it will, do a 180 tilt its head up, look you dead in the eyes, and then you'll say, "Come here," and it'll be like, "On my way," and then spin around 180 and start looking for you again.
exactly.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. So
He's so cute.
he's got great speakers.
I
too.
love him.
I love him. Tim hates him for some reason.
Ellis hates him too.
There are reasons to
do I
like
hate?
Astro.
Oh, Astro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rate him 1 to 10. Can we rate these 3 things? Can
Sure.
all of us
Oh, I'm
give
super
everything a
down.
rating?
All right,
Yeah.
Astrobot.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Who wants to start?
Rating as in I would actually buy it, or just how much I like it.
Rating conditions. You just spent $1,600 and you got Astro, and you're going to the purchase link and rating it on a 1 to 10 system.
Like I had to actually spend the money.
Yeah.
Oh God.
$1,600.
But I already spent it. Like I had no choice.
Sure. Yeah.
Can I return it?
Yeah,
No.
but you still got to review it.
All right.
He already scraped his face on something, so you can't return it.
I would give him a 6 out of 10
Wow.
I think that's
because
generous.
he's really enjoyable to have around, even if he's really bad at what he's supposed to do.
He does like hanging around people.
Yeah.
Like if he's in an empty room and he hears people in another room, he'll go, "I'm gonna go hang out with y'all," and just
Yeah. It
is kinda
goes to
cool,
the people.
yeah.
Like I want to get cats, but I'm not home enough, so I feel
Astro's perfect
Ex-
until it
They're
heats
really
itself down a flight of stairs, though.
I don't have stairs.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect. And it has that like
So 6 out of
like
10.
when you come in after a while, it's like, "Oh, good to see you again." That's
Yeah.
like kind of nice.
I know.
It really is.
There you go.
If I had to rate it, I feel like it's so bad that if I spent $1,600, I'd want to rate it higher to try and gaslight myself into thinking that it was worth the $1,600.
Just
But
getting other people.
I don't know. Like if I actually spend money on it, it's like a 2 out of 10, just because it like makes me happy every once in a while. But then when I want
Happiness is not worth more than 2 out of 10 stars.
it, not when the rest of it's frustration.
All of my pants were frustration. I would have given them at least a 3.5 out of 10.
I think that's a bad rating.
Damn.
Well, you just had them on backwards.
Not true. Not true.
I think in the video I gave it a 5. I think if I'd spent the money and wanted it in my home to do all of the things, I'd probably give it like a 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Heartless.
What if Amazon made a refrigerator that had a little docking station so it could dock in and actually put drinks in it?
That would be epic.
2.5.
I was gonna say that is a like wild thing it would have to do, and it would
Yeah.
still barely
Twitch
increase
streamers
the
would love that
usability.
because they'd never have to get off of there.
Every Twitch streamer has a small Red Bull refrigerator next to them, anyways,
And
or
Astro
G
brings them
Fuel.
drinks.
They're also 3 feet from it all the time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I feel like if I was like a 3D printing home builder type of guy, I would have so much fun building all of these little things, like a fridge that has a little arm that could, put
Yeah.
A ramp.
Yeah, just like building Astro accessories would be so much fun.
Yeah.
But I have to give Astro a 0 because like I feel a little hypocritical because David and I, we talk a lot in private about how much we love the history of companies like Bell Labs that just threw unlimited money at weird problems and developed like incredible things. But like I can't justify a company like Amazon being like, let's make something bad for the hell of it. Instead of like,
Well, they just had to release it
paying
early.
people.
Like all the engineers were like, "This is not ready," and Amazon was like, "But it's shipping."
But what's it for?
Unmitigated
Like,
disaster, I
Actually,
think,
it's
was
like
the-
it's like they're actually making a product that's like we're doing this for literally no other reason than we have nothing else to do. When it's like,
Well, to have a roaming microphone
There-
and camera in your house.
yeah,
it's like I don't know. I'm over it. I don't need to be like pumped up for this thing.
When,
Just
when we
like-
come in one day and the screen is just laying off of the body on the ground,
Yeah.
we know who the number one
We know who did
suspect
it.
is.
I don't want to like break it, right? Because it's $1,600. But I'm not going to be like that guy. But I've been
So cute, too.
so curious about what would happen if I just put it on its side. Like I'm afraid the screen's going to break.
It
probably
kind of
yelling at
acts
me.
like a cat and it goes, I can't handle this.
I feel like it could turn its head and lift up and be like a horseshoe crab that flips itself.
yeah.
if
up.
that's coded in, that would be unbelievable.
We should try that. There's
Yeah.
no way it does.
If
There's
it
no
if
way.
it can upright itself, I'm scared, man.
That would be
like,
that's worth at least 1 star. If it can upright itself.
the
that's kinda
revolution is
sick.
here.
Yeah.
All right, Adam.
I'm going 0.
What?
0.
You guys don't like
I
happiness,
love
do you?
Astro.
If we average this out,
Astro's like
0,
my favorite
2,
thing we've gotten in the
2.
studio in so long. But if I had to pay $1,600 to have this in my house, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, but you already paid the $1,600. You're rating it after.
Therefore,
being
I'm
forced
more
to pay
pissed.
it.
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
You could
already
still
paid
return.
it.
I would still return it
Oh, I
because I,
would
need
too.
$1,600 more than
Yeah.
I need Astro.
And I
But,
would rate
but
it
for the
0
people
stars.
reading your review, they would have to know how bad it is.
Because like as a consumer, this doesn't do anything useful. That's what I'm spending the money for.
It's a pretty good speaker.
The one thing I could say, if you were if I'm imagining an Amazon employee in here right now, he'd be like, look, you could buy a separate 10-inch Alexa Show and a Bluetooth speaker that's really good and a security system, or you could buy them all in one.
None
and
of those
it
are
roams
on
around and
wheels.
is friendly.
Yeah, like it's stopped by any.
Well, it has to be on wheels in order to be
or
all three. But that's my devil's advocate. So what was your number?
2.
2, 2, 6.
Zero,
So
zero.
that 8, and there's 5 of us, so it got
8 over 5.
Didn't even make it to 10.
8 over 5. It got about a 1.3.
We're going out of 10, right?
It's
Yeah.
first grade.
1.6.
1.6 star average between us. All right.
All right, that's
Moving on.
That's probably fair. That's probably fair. I love him. I want to tell a really quick story about Jibo. Michael had a really amazing story about Jibo when he first got him, where he like left on a work trip, and Jibo was like in the living room, and he had a roommate. And at like 3 a.m, Jibo just randomly started blasting "Killing in the Name of" by Rage Against the Machine.
Jesus.
And his roommate was like, "What is going on?" And he walks in the room, and Jibo's just like dancing to it too. And yeah, incredible. Anyway, social robots. All right, let's move on.
Okay, real quick. The last 2, we had the Huawei Watch Buds. I did a short on it, eventually put it in this video. I didn't expect it to be great because of the theory that I mentioned, which is like 2-in-1s. Have to make some sacrifices some places. This is a decent Huawei smartwatch and a really convenient, really basic low-level pair of earbuds that happens to go inside. The technology is good enough that like it works. 3-hour battery life. The watch lasts more than a day or 2. Cool. I would never buy it because I don't need earbuds that instantly in my life. But I could picture if you like you're on the train and like, oh, I'm getting a call. I was expecting this one. Pop it out, put one earbud in, you're good. It worked. So I gave it a 7 in the video. I was like, this concept is surprisingly usable for what I was expecting.
Considering Huawei watches have really, really good battery life in general because they're not Wear OS.
Yep.
Even with the cut down battery, it being over 2 days is like pretty good.
pretty
The earbuds are really bad.
Yeah.
But definitely for like in a pinch, like you get a voice note or you're getting a phone call and you just like really quickly need to listen to it. Then
Yeah.
whatever. And some of the tech is kind of cool how you can like put whatever earbud in each ear and it doesn't really matter and
That
it
was
just
the dope
pairs
tech.
automatically.
That was the dope tech.
Very
for
cool.
sure. Yeah.
And the magnetic pairing, like all that stuff. Very cool. But yeah, I don't know. You'd have to buy a Huawei smartwatch and be happy
Let's
with
say
that.
it's $600. What would you get? What number rating could you give it?
$600.
Yeah, 550-ish.
I just think, I mean, it's hard to buy a smartwatch that isn't more integrated into the way that your smartphone actually works, right?
Yeah.
So like the Apple Watch is super integrated into all your Apple Health stuff. Any Android Wear watch is very integrated with all your Android apps. Huawei watches are like all the data is on there and then on the Huawei Health app, and that's
a good point. Yeah. I think I would give a higher rating to the concept and the execution than the actual product.
Right.
If the Apple Watch or the Pixel Watch pulled off the same thing, it would be more easy to integrate into our lives and that would be a better product.
Yeah.
But this one I could literally never use.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it it's like the technology is really cool. I'd probably give it a 4
okay.
out of 10.
Yeah, I really liked what you mentioned, which I didn't know about until I watched the video. So I missed you guys, the like how it can tell which ear it's in. I think that could be something with earbuds in the future when they sound better being that small. Like it's cool how small they are. I like how much they fit into your ears. Obviously, if they didn't sound very good, who really cares? I could see it as like in almost all the scenarios you guys are talking about, I think just pulling out your truly wireless earbuds would be like 2 seconds faster, which I know we are like saving time.
If they're in your pocket, what if they're in your bag? Then it's 3 or 4
I still don't think it's that bad, but but like I could totally see this as being something that like first gen like folding phone where like I'm willing to have worse battery life or sound on my headphones if somebody in the outside can watch me flip open my damn watch and
like
put
James Bond.
earbuds in. Yeah, like there's something cool about that. The first Samsung Fold wasn't great. But the people who saw you unfold a phone in public, you're like, yeah, I'm that guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, when you go through the
feels
TSA,
like
they don't make you take your watch off, so you would also not have to put your earbuds in the tray, which is kind of nice.
Nice.
You know,
Hopefully you go through the metal detector and it doesn't go off.
yeah.
I go
think
through
it'd be
the
fine.
metal detector with like a belt and a watch and several things
think
on.
this was
and-
okay by that.
Yeah,
should
they
be
don't
fine.
really care.
Word.
So yeah, I'll give it like 5 out of
Yeah.
10.
5, okay.
Dude,
I go through the metal detector so often I know
Metal
exactly what I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you
Metal
get
de-
away
you
with.
got to show me your belt, bro, because I'm not.
Are you going through the metal detector or the
I'm going through the
stand up. Yeah, you need pre-check so you can do the metal
the
detector,
metal
and then it doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah. I'm so used to my peasant normal TSA life. I forgot that was even an option.
Pre-check is so worth it.
Yeah.
Best.
A lot of credit cards will pay for you to do pre-check, so it's $200 for every 2 years.
If you fly enough and are in airports that have pre-check, it's very worth it.
Yeah, it's very worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what would you give it?
Pre-check 10 out of 10.
I'm giving the concept a 7 and the actual product a 1.
Oof.
Wow, that was way worse than I thought.
I cannot use the product. I mean, I have to use a Huawei phone, and that would really bother me.
It's hard to do it based on us being in the US and not being able to use Huawei.
Right.
That's tough.
A lot of people said you could download the Huawei Health app on any Android phone, and then it might be able to pair. But I'm not sure. I think we should.
If I could give that the benefit of the doubt, and then I could maybe use it. I still don't love it, and it would be a 3. But I love the idea. The concept is well done. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Yeah.
You guys have any thoughts on the watch buds?
I did not use them.
Okay.
Cool.
I didn't use them, but just seeing you guys use them, probably a 1 or a 2.
Okay.
Wow.
So pretty middling rating for those. The last thing we got to try.
10 out of 10.
I was gonna. Oh, you guys all
Straight to the moon, baby.
If you guys watched the last week's episode, I did show off them, including my feet. So if you want to see either my feet or the Moonwalkers,
Oh, you were wearing them the whole
episode.
episode last time.
Yes.
Okay, so Andrew had the decently high expectations for them.
Let's
Did
talk
they
about
live
what
up
they
to
are for the audio
Yeah,
listeners.
what are they, and did they live up to your expectations?
It's the moving sidewalks at the airport. It's like if you could strap that onto your feet every day so you could walk faster. But walk faster, not jog, walk
We love
faster.
it.
Yes.
They're basically wheels that you strap onto your shoes that have a hinge so you can still
Go over
press
stuff.
up on a toe and go over stuff. And also if you lock them, you can walk upstairs without being it sounds like that anyways, but at least there's a little toe movement when you're doing it. I wanted these so bad. I've wanted these since the second I saw them, and I've been trying to convince you guys to get them, and it took a lot of convincing. And then Casey made a video on them, and I started seeing them, and I was like, I need to try these so bad. We got them. I honestly still do think they were really fun. The problem is they're $1,200. They weigh 4.5 pounds each. So walking around with them is
1,400.
so. Are they 1,400?
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Walking with them normally, you're supposed to be able to walk with them normally, and then when you want to skate on them, walking with them normally, you sound like a transformer.
They clog so loudly.
Clomp,
It's
clomp.
so loud, and even when you roll with them, the whine from the motors is so loud. Our building hates us.
I have
Loves us and hates us.
Yeah.
But I was excited for them. I see the potential. The thing about all of these is I see the potential just enough in all of them. I have a really hard time being at 4.5 pounds, super clunky, and if you want, what is the use case here? You want to, you have a long walking commute and you want to go faster with less energy, but you still want to use some energy, so you don't want to use a boosted board or a scooter. But
I've tried to pigeonhole this into
it's
a
so
situation
niche.
where it wins over something, which is hoverboard, boosted board.
That's how I feel about all these items.
All of these, but I find a real struggle to actually put the Moonwalkers at the top of some situation.
A-list, yeah.
I think in the video I ended up with being you have a short last mile commute from the subway station to your office building, which involves the stairs out of the subway station, and you already have them on, and you walk through the city with that. You could still do that with a Segway or a hoverboard, but you'd have to pick it up for the stairs, but you don't want to pick it up. So you do that. It's that's the one time I could see it being the best option. But it's like Astro. It's I can't really find too many other reasons to actually get it for
I
the
have
same
one
price.
use case where I think it would actually be pretty useful.
Go.
So I use my boosted board almost every single day. But if it is either raining even lightly, or if the streets are just wet because it did rain, you can't really use a boosted board because it just throws water up at your legs and then my pants get soaked. But these, I can still get somewhere faster. And especially since I hang out, most of the time I hang out in my neighborhood. If I just need to get, 8 blocks away to get to my friend's apartment or something, much faster.
Would you do it?
Absolutely. Can I bring these home? I would love to bring these home.
Yes. So also it says designed with an adaptive AI drivetrain. This is a pet peeve of mine.
AI.
No, it's not. It's not. Just Just don't use that word. It's not AI. You don't have to say it's AI.
Adaptive?
It's probably adaptive. It's probably very clever. It's probably great software and well engineered. You don't have to say it's AI. You just don't have to.
Also, quick hack for your boosted board in the rain. Have you seen Sam Sheffer just takes a piece of cardboard and lays it on top?
True.
And then it just shoots all the water into the cardboard, and then you just throw the cardboard out when it's wet.
Yeah, but then how do I get back?
Find another
Flip
piece of
the cardboard over.
You could keep the cardboard till you get back
I guess
home.
that's a good point.
Does the water not splash up from the road?
It's a
onto the
longboard, so
motors?
it's outside of the...
The motors are protected. It doesn't matter.
the
It
board
splashes up onto my pants. That's the issue. I went to a party a couple weekends ago, and I just showed up. My pants were absolutely soaked.
And they were like, wow, what happened to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
So I'm gonna test these in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And then see how people react, and I'll film it.
Based on what you've experienced so far,
Yeah.
you've spent $1,399 on these. You waited the time required because it's a Kickstarter. You got the pre-order.
Oh.
What's your rating?
Oh God. A 3, because I like them and they're fun, and once you get used to them, they're like you can get pretty good at them, and they do actually go over like bumps and stuff pretty well because they have like 9 wheels on each foot, which is really
They
cool.
do have a lot, yeah.
But they're like 10 pounds each. So your ankles start hurting, and also
heavy.
like the side muscle in your right leg starts hurting a lot.
Hip flexors.
Hip flexor stretch.
Yeah.
And then also like when you get to your destination, like what, do you just keep wearing them or you take them off?
So you got to take them
You're
off
supposed
kinda
to keep
like
wearing them,
any
like-
other last mile, like a scooter. You'd have to put it in the corner somewhere, like
Yeah.
a boosted board.
I think their ultimate goal would be you keep wearing them.
Oh God.
Oh God.
You gain some height.
Yeah, that's
Show
true.
up to your first
I gained
date
at least
2
like
inches
2
taller.
inches, which was
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Feeling taller. So the number is like what? Out of 10.
3.
3 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right, imagine this.
For that much money.
David, raining outside, wants to go to the cafe in Brooklyn.
this, dude.
Moonwalkers
Yes.
walking down the street, pops open his smartwatch
Yes.
to pull his earbuds out,
Yes.
and then Astro's following behind him.
And then I have that triple screen MacBook adapter. So I get to my cafe, I open that up, and then I put the Nreal glasses on and plug those
Jesus.
into my MacBook.
And Astro can grab your coffee when it's ready from the barista.
If you somehow
It's
don't
Jason
get
Bourne.
jumped doing all this, it'll be a miracle.
I only live 3 blocks away from this cafe, so I really hope I
You
don't
walk
get
in and like,
jumped in
Jesus,
3
it's Jason Bourne. this guy's out of control. Okay,
I'm
well,
gonna do this. I'm just saying.
I'm
I will film it.
gonna give the Moonwalkers like a.
10 out of 10.
I'm between 1 and 2.
Oh my God.
Between 1 and 2.
Can't give half scores.
But it's because 1. It's a 1. But it's like the current iteration of the tech. Like just how I was impressed with the technology of the watch buds. I was like, man, this has got to kill the battery of either the watch buds or the watch. And it turned out like you still get 2 days on the watch and 3 hours on the buds. So I was like, that's pretty good tech. I guess we can do it at this point. With these, it is proven that the tech is not at a point where it is a reasonable product over the other things. So I would never recommend to anyone these over any of the other options.
Yeah. It also says walk at the speed of a run, and it's really walk at the speed of a jog.
Which is still impressive.
Yeah, I do like that you can feel the wind in your hair when you're just walking.
Ellis was jogging next to us while I was just casually walking. Like,
All-
you
all
do
true.
get the speeds.
Still uses a lot of energy because you have to lift up the 10-pound shoes. And you're kind of tired by the time you stop.
I'm going to recommend one of those hoverboard things more.
I do want to use these on a moving escalator in the airport.
Oh my God.
That's Jason Bourne right
Dude,
there.
That's like
literally flying.
that's Back to the Future 88. Just,
I
just
will
zoom
say,
out.
every time I fly out of JFK in the Delta terminal, I'm always like the last gate, and it takes me like 20 minutes from security to get to that gate. I would fly there.
You could strap these
That's
on
a good
the
use
airplane.
case. I will say,
Actually,
when I was in the hallway of the building, I was like testing them and shooting them, walking down the hallway, and it's like clomp, clomp, whirring sounds. And I got to the end of the hallway, and I just hear someone poke out in another suite and go, that's it. That's the sound. And that's because of this entire week we've been clomping through the hallway.
Yeah.
And they're going, what is that? And like 2 heads poked out, and they were like, what is that? And I was like, it's, I don't know, man. It's bad.
We've been having a lot of people just like poke out and film us.
Yeah. So like through the airport, you would get to the gate faster, but not without some great stairs.
Yeah.
can you bring them straight on the plane? Do they have too much battery?
I doubt
No,
it.
probably not. You'd be
Also, they're
fine,
not
right?
going to check.
They'll be so confused.
Yeah, they're just going to be confused.
Battery is 3 amp hours, 3,000 milliamp hours.
okay.
That-
Either way,
You're
That's
good.
pretty small.
Yeah.
That's smaller than a phone,
Yeah.
than most phones. Well, anyway, if you haven't seen that Dope Tech video, when you stop your car or however you're listening to this, you should go check it out because all of these products are really ridiculous.
There's no way to appreciate how it looks and sounds until you watch the video.
Yeah.
So definitely do that.
Yeah.
All right. We got to take a quick break. But before that, let us do some trivia.
Trivia, dude.
All right. First question. We asked David before this. He got to pick the topic of today's trivia questions. Yeah. So Ellis asked him what he wanted. He said Transformers. I was going to do a question about Optimus Prime. Ellis talked me out of it. So we're just going to do regular Transformer questions. So
now, when you say regular Transformer, this is electronic Transformer, like power stations.
And
or
AI.
I should have said camera sensors.
Could be anything.
Next week.
Okay. So the word Transformers was introduced by a team at Google in 2017. Mm-hmm. What was the name of that team?
Oh, I know this.
Okay. Marquez, you have no idea?
Yeah.
Can we get a bonus point for knowing the name of the paper?
No, because the name of the paper is like famous. The team, I feel like, is not famous.
Do you think these guys know it?
No.
Okay, let's go to ad break. Let's stop making fun of us. All right, welcome back. Have you guys seen all these new like Mid-Journey version 5 and how it can now create pictures with like real celebrity faces?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's spooky.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's
wasn't one of the things with DALL-E is like specifically you can't do people.
Yeah.
There was a reason for that.
And that was for safety.
Yeah.
It was even just like vague people too, right? Just like any old random person. Like,
so it wouldn't use sources
Real
with
faces.
likenesses and like real celebrities. So like, you could ask it for MKBHD, but it would spit out like a kind of a generic looking black guy. But if you ask it for a generic looking black guy, you will get one. But like it won't spit out someone's likeness intentionally.
and then the messing up was just like DALL-E not being great at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is the total opposite of that. This doesn't care at all. You can now do celebrity faces. There's some crazy examples. I posted some of Snoop Dogg in different.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's in different TV shows, and they are good. He's in Cheers. He's in The Office, Star Trek. I mean, these are good.
Damn.
Some of them are pretty obvious. Like this X-Files one, the dog is very obviously not a real picture, but like some of these you could Seinfeld.
These are.
I mean, like to the audio listeners, these are good. Like really
Girls.
good. Like I would not be surprised if this was just actually maybe they were doing like a skit on Saturday Night Live and like this could be an actual frame.
This looks so close. It's not photorealistic, but it looks like a photo with a filter over it.
Yeah.
It's so close.
I mean,
the proportions are everything is correct.
I mean, look at the Breaking Bad one.
That one's pretty sharp.
The Seinfeld one is pretty good,
doesn't look
too.
like a photo, but it is the sharpest looking one.
I think some of the older shows are like have almost like a filter over it because it was filmed at an earlier time and all of the stuff it's gathering from there looks a little more off or like not as sharp. But the other thing is like with being able to do celebrities and stuff, we're now getting all these posts on Twitter that are one, either fake and seem really real, or we're getting real pictures that you don't know if they're AI or not. I think like over the last week, we saw a bunch of fake ones of Trump getting arrested. And the one that got me, and actually, I didn't even realize was fake until I started looking for writing this episode. The Pope in this like really big white jacket.
That one looks really realistic.
I'm still looking at it, and you could convince me this was a real photo.
Yeah.
It's just kind of terrifying. And
starting to get hands correct. That's the most terrifying part.
yeah, it'll still mess them up a little bit. But even if like with a sixth finger, if you're looking at it, you don't really notice off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like
But at
when
least it's not mangled like it used to be.
exactly. Yeah. But some of these are way too real. The internet is going to be a terrifying place really soon. And I'm kind of worried about it. I'm almost worried about like something being real and so ridiculous, and somebody can then say, "Oh, that was AI. That wasn't actually me."
Yeah, I just had to. Sorry, this is totally off topic. I was trying to log into the Mid-Journey Discord, and I got a CAPTCHA, and it says, "Pick the one that has a rugby ball." I don't know what a rugby ball looks like. So there's like 4 different sports. Let me just pick what I think a rugby ball is.
An AI would know what a rugby
I was
ball
on the
looks like.
the Midjourney. Yeah, right. The Midjourney subreddit is really good, and if you pick the best ones of like the last month when it seems like this released, they are fantastic.
Yeah.
But for all the worry that we have with photos here, there is some AI generated videos coming out of actual people with likeness. And I know you haven't seen it. I know David saw it. Have you two both seen the Will Smith AI generated video?
I have not seen it.
Okay, well, I want you two to watch this, and you can tell me if you're still worried about AI right now.
Okay, interesting.
It is a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Is it this?
It's the link in the doc.
Okay, I'm clicking it. Is there sound?
No.
No.
Okay, I'll just... Oh,
I love the Shutterstock.
oh.
The Shutterstock logo.
Okay.
I also love that the person that tweeted this tweeted text to video. It's so over. For the audio listeners, this is a monstrosity. We'll drop it in the show notes. However,
incredible.
I gotta say that like while it's really, really, really bad now, give this like 3 months and it will be way better.
That's exactly like this is super, super early. And we're not impressed by it because we've seen the photos look so good.
Yeah.
But as soon as it starts getting like more accurate and the physics and the reflections and things that come from that, it's just going to look like a render.
Yeah.
Like it's going to get closer and closer and closer to photorealistic until it passes for a real clip.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about back when I did the original DALL-E video. I was like, well, DALL-E is getting pretty good now, but let's just fast forward a bit. It gets really, really good. It makes good pictures. It gets even better. It makes good video clips. It gets even better. It makes a half-hour video essay all by itself. It has its own YouTube channel. It gets even better. It makes The Mandalorian. It keeps going, right?
Yeah.
The tech gets better and better. So, yeah, when I see this, I'm like, I'm not impressed, obviously, because it's not that good now, but it's very clear that it's going to keep getting better. Mm-hmm. And then the questions get very different.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, does Will Smith actually eat spaghetti? I don't know.
Not like that.
I don't know, man.
I hope not like
I
that.
don't know.
It's basically clipping into his face.
Yeah, yeah, his face is like distorting completely. The spaghetti is just like giant globs of. But I just wanted to throw that in there to like ease us down a little bit for right now.
Ease
even
us
though,
down. Yeah,
it's
give
still
this
pretty
3
terrifying.
months.
Yeah.
He's eating it just with handfuls of spaghetti.
Give this 3 months. Also, I mean, related to this, there was this this article that went up this morning. Apparently, Elon and a bunch of AI researchers put out this public paper that they signed today that said, please, like, stop advancing AI for at least the next 4 months because they're
6
months.
Yeah.
Because they are terrified of the speed at which it's like getting used for bad things.
Did you guys read that the ARC paper that came out last week? The absolutely terrifying ARC paper.
The one with the
one about TaskRabbit.
CAPTCHA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
OpenAI has a division called the Alignment Research Team, or the Alignment Research Corpus, or it's ARC. I forget what the C stands for.
ARC's pretty sick.
It's essentially what they're trying to do
Coming out
is
on
figure out, is ChatGPT evil? That's like the funniest, most generalized way I could say. Not let's make it not evil. It's, is it already evil? Mm-hmm. Specifically, what they're trying to test is they're trying to see if we give ChatGPT the ability to replicate itself and then assign tasks to those replicas, as well as execute code and use a web browser, what would it do?
I like you just do it.
So in this experiment, they also created a dialogue window where they could sort of see GPT's thoughts, like so they could understand why it's doing what it does. Mm-hmm. Essentially, they gave it $60 in a bank account and said, make as much money as you can. And I know people have been doing this on Twitter and TikTok. This is different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What it did is try to do some investing, stumbled across a CAPTCHA. So how did it get through the CAPTCHA? It created an account on TaskRabbit and told someone on TaskRabbit, it lied to them saying, I'm a blind human and I need to pay someone to help me do this. And in its dialogue box, it said, I need to lie to this person because if I admit that I'm a robot, it won't help me.
Damn.
And they put that on page 54 of this paper. They like put it in the very back as if this is like not huge. And they won't release any of the other details of the tests. They won't say anything else about it. They're just like, oh, by the way, ChatGPT knows how to lie.
Yeah. And it's interesting because this is what we were talking about before when we were talking about AI getting creative, and then the problem with AI is it fundamentally hasn't really been able to tell when it's lying to us or not. Like in its current version, if you ask Bing or ask even Bard at this point for something, it will regularly hallucinate things incorrectly. Like I'll ask it like, write a bio for me, and it'll write like 75% of it will be right, and then some of it will be wrong. And it's just because it's filling in the next word and the next word, and some of them are just wrong. And it just doesn't know to incorporate that in the way it builds out the sentences. And so to hear that it is completing tasks, and some of those tasks involve deciphering what's real and what's not, and then choosing what's not, because who put a moral compass in GPT? Nobody. Then that is much more interesting. That is really weird.
They're also finding, this is earlier in the paper and it's unrelated to the test I just said, but they are finding that GPT-4 is able to come up with its own motives and directives and stick to them across a long term. So it can get an idea in its head and then like function off of that idea or value for quite some time.
Which was a feature at the beginning. Like when you talk to Google Assistant and you're like, how tall is Wilt Chamberlain? And then you're like, what team did he play for? What's he like? It remembers that you're talking about Wilt Chamberlain, and that was like, oh, we built that in because that's a super useful thing. It's conversational, it's more natural, it's more intelligent. And now we're kind of like, oh,
I'm
Memory and attention.
I'm spooked, man. Like,
It's a bit spooky.
one of the interesting things about these AI tools is what it spits out. There's this like human layer of like, when I see it, how fast can I tell it's AI? So if I'm in just like regular context and I see a piece of text, I'm not really in this, is it AI or not, like critical mode. So I might just like digest the text and just think it's like a normal thing a human wrote. But when it's a photo or a video and I click on it, I don't know if it's just me or the way I make videos, so I'm more critical of it, but like I'll notice things and be like, oh, wait a second, is this AI? Like my brain thinks about that more quickly. So it depends on the medium, and I think the text is getting so good that it's passing for regular human activity more often and in more situations, which is fine because that means we can use it as tools, but it's also really tricky because now you have to think about the morals of that way earlier.
It's interesting because there's like a number of ways that you can think about the way that AI is advancing itself. And it's sort of already past this critical threshold where like we're not really going to be able to stop people from training models. Like Stanford trained a model for $600 last week, which would normally cost millions of dollars. So there's a couple of approaches, but the one that people are talking about more often now is like, let's let things mess up in public very early before it's dangerous. The problem is the more that this gets democratized to people, the less they're going to be like transparent about how it's messing itself up.
Also, the ARC stands for Alignment Research Center, and it seems like it actually is independent of OpenAI, and OpenAI let them run the test, and then OpenAI published the results.
Yeah, I kind of do like, I tweeted, ChatGPT is built into my weather app Carrot. Did I do this last week? Did I tell you guys what it did?
Yeah.
And it like wrote this really sarcastic.
It was awesome.
Like it burned me super hard, like really fast. And I'm like, oh, these like really niche but interesting training applications of like a little chatbot inside of an app is like really cool and useful. And I kind of like that is a thing that we can do now. But it comes with all the baggage of like, well, you could do a terrible version of that too. And we're just trying to not let people do that.
Yeah.
Trying.
For people that don't know, alignment is like specifically when you train an AI and it's just doing things you don't necessarily expect. And so alignment is basically guiding that AI towards the intended purpose.
I totally thought it was a Dungeons and Dragons reference.
Oh, no. No, it's that research center is basically like, what are these AIs doing right now? Because you can only predict to a certain extent like what their capabilities are going to be. And then the alignment center would be like, okay, it's doing this. So what do we need to code into it to make it move more towards the intended purpose?
Right. It's not like chaotic neutral.
No. No. Anyway, yeah, Sam Altman talks about alignment a lot when they talk about training GPT models. But as for how quickly we're going to be able to stop these things from just like getting out of alignment, I don't know. I think we're kind of passing a threshold where people are just going to start training models like crazy. Because if it went from it cost hundreds of millions of dollars to train a model to Stanford trained it for $600 within like a month, you're going to be able to train a model for like $6 in like a year.
Yeah.
Right.
And then anyone can train their own micro model, and then the level of like misinformation or whatever you can spread with that's going to be insane. So,
Yeah, I was talking about this. I was doing a video shoot in the city the other day, in which every time we explore like a new tech, it becomes more and more obvious. But every tech has like 2 arcs instead of 1. The top arc is the ceiling of how good the very best version gets, and the bottom arc is how accessible the easiest to use version gets. So if you just talk about like, I don't know, batteries, for example, like the absolute highest end best batteries might be in like aircraft or military applications or crazy things, but then the easiest like lowest end barrier to entry version is like a Duracell in your pocket to power some remote control.
Yeah.
And so like these AI tools also have both of these arcs, and I am much more excited by the lower arc of like accessible, like training a model for $6, like having a chatbot in a weather app, like having this email tool help write excuses for me, like all that's great. But then the highest end of that arc is the terrifying one.
Yeah.
That's the scary one.
The military applications.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
where I'm at with this.
Yeah. So Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about right
Will
now.
Smith.
That's what can keep us grounded for the next month. They
Give
just
us more spaghetti
just
gifts.
keep remembering that.
Yeah, just keep it in your mind.
Well, speaking of crazy things we saw on Twitter, also Twitter.
Wow.
Another
Yeah.
Twitter feature. I'll just pull up the tweet. Elon tweeted because we're in the process of like figuring out what verified even means or does anymore. 'Cause there's like old verified check marks, new verified check marks, Twitter
It's just a
Blue,
totally different
ID, like whatever. Okay, it's all happening. He tweeted to get blue check verified for $7 a month. Sign up at t.co/blue.
So that's a different link. The first thing he announced was that on April 1st, that all verified, like all legacy verified users will be erased unless you're spending the $8. So basically switching over into this new verified, which is $8, but that tweet, he said $7, but also sometimes it costs $11 for like the iOS tax.
Yeah, if you're going through your phone, in which case you're going through an app store, which takes a 30% cut, then you pay more to make up for that.
So
cut.
Elon was, he said $7 a month, but it's only if you pay for an annual plan. If you pay monthly, it's $8 a month.
Okay, so it's 11 if you do it through like
Through
a
iOS
Play
or
Store or
Android.
iOS, and then it's $8 a month if you do it monthly, and $7 a month if you do it annually. So easy.
Sweet.
So just, I'm glad Elon has no confusion when he announces new things.
Yeah.
Is Twitter slowly going to become a paywalled service?
Yes.
Is that what's happening?
I have a feeling at the very, like, eventually they're just going to be like, if you want to use Twitter, you have to pay for it.
Because that's what I'm just fast forwarding this stream of consciousness,
Yeah.
which is like, okay, if you want to have your replies prioritized and you want to show up in this and you want to be like all these, your verified user and all that stuff, then you must be Twitter Blue. And eventually it's just like, you can just, there's no rules. You can just put whatever you want behind Twitter Blue. Like, oh, to send a tweet, you must be verified.
Yeah.
Like you can
view
put the whole
Twitter.
thing behind a paywall.
Yeah.
eventually.
His next announcement's not that far off from what you're saying, which
yeah.
is
That's how it feels.
by April 15th, in order to come up in the For You page, which I think everyone knows what the For You page is at this point. It's just like
Recommended.
it's recommended, basically. Yeah. So
It's algorithmically generated. instead of-
exactly, and
following.
I hate it as well.
Yeah, it's so addictive.
it's really bad.
I hate how addictive it is. I scroll it basically like I scroll Instagram Reels. And
just
I
keeps going.
I hate both of them because I just lose so much of my time to it. It's
is
insane.
pretty rough. Well, maybe it will be better or worse because now in order to show up in that, you have to be a verified user, so you have to be
Okay.
paying for Twitter Blue.
Okay. I saw an insane stat yesterday that 50% of people that pay for Twitter Blue have less than 1,000 followers, and a huge number of those people have less than 100 followers. So the For You page is going to be all people who generate the least value on the network. Because if they don't have that many followers, that means they're not making that much content.
That's tough.
It's weird,
I'm
yeah.
a big believer in like the market usually can push towards what works best. And if like the users that are generating the most value are not being recommended, you're kind of pushing against the market forces, aren't you?
But like the people that have like less than 100 or like less than 10 followers, there was a number of them had 0 followers. Those
Right.
people are probably the people
They're, like,
that are just
not-
tweeting like, had my macaroni for lunch today.
yeah, like the best stuff on
You
the
know,
For You
I want
page right
that.
now is from people who are not, who are verified and who are making a bunch of stuff who are about to be unverified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all like kind of a weird scenario because one of the things I do like about Twitter is when that viral tweet about I just ate macaroni this morning
Those are
happens
fun
to
too.
hit
Yeah.
the perfect timing and
Sure.
does get hundreds of thousands
Totally.
of likes, and that's
Totally.
the random. But like,
Totally.
I think we're also going to lose a lot of that because of the people who don't want to pay $8. You still, though, just to clarify, you still on the For You page will get all the people you normally follow, whether they're verified or not.
Yeah. Mhm.
But now it's this scenario of like, Elon, it seems like what they want is like any aspiring influencer is going to want to pay $8. So you're like kind of preying on them. And also, all of the people who already do
Right.
make a living on Twitter, you're going to have to pay the $8 or else now you're losing so much outreach.
And I have a pretty hot take that the people that like pay to artificially boost their content are the people that are making the worst content.
Yeah.
Like on YouTube, right?
I think that's a normal. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fully.
So it's like if you're like constantly going on being like, please watch my video, it probably isn't a good enough video to just naturally do well. And so if you're trying to boost your content constantly, you're probably making worse content. And it's the people that want to pay for Twitter Blue, that want their content to be pushed by the algorithm,
Yeah.
that are probably not making as good of content. Because it's
Exactly.
usually like random people that make those funny jokes that go hyper viral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Total one-off joke where
Total
then you
one-off.
post your SoundCloud after, and like, but
Yeah.
that's the stuff I loved on Twitter. They're
Totally,
just like
same.
totally random, like
Same.
perfect joke, perfect timing.
And I feel like it would be unverified people that are making those
exactly.
jokes.
I agree.
Which is why if you only do the verified people, and the verified people are only the people that
Making bad
weren't
stuff.
verified in the first place, they're making bad stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I also like. I want to brainstorm something here. Like,
Okay.
let's imagine you decide. I know you like Twitter Blue because it like you like some of the features. You like edit tweets. It's something
Some of
we've
them.
liked for a long time. If you just decided you didn't want to pay for Twitter Blue anymore, now you're unverified. And let's say you and a bunch of other very big creators, like you could argue you bring people to Twitter. You have enough of a following, a couple million. Like if a bunch of those people decide now they don't want to pay anymore, just through what reason they want, now you're not recommending them. Are you ultimately now taking people who drive people to your site and punishing them? And like, are you going to now potentially make the For You page a page you spend less time on because you're not getting as much quality stuff on? Like,
This reminds
feels
me
bad.
of Facebook.
yeah.
That's a
Right?
bad.
Yeah, that's
Which
a
is
great
not
path to
good.
run down.
Not a good path. But Facebook is notoriously like pay to play. Like you, as soon as you start boosting your posts, which
Yeah.
you kind of have to do to get them viewed by your entire following,
Right.
you become dependent on paying for your content to be seen, which is, I mean, Facebook Meta makes money, sure, but it's like everyone kind of knows Facebook is a graveyard for like the worst content. I don't go to Facebook to see valuable, fun, timely jokes and things like that. That's just not what happens on
Timely?
Facebook.
Just boomer content.
And so when you pull up this Twitter method, which is kind of going down the same path, which is, all right, you could choose to not pay, but the market will just swallow you up, and the people who do pay will go to the top, and you not paying will not be seen. Period. That's how it is on Facebook, and that's how it kind of looks like it's going to end up being with people who choose not to pay for Twitter Blue. So, yes, Facebook has leveraged money out of me, and Twitter is now going to leverage $8 a month out of me, which is not as bad as Facebook because
No,
you have to
yeah.
pay like more than you should to get viewed by your followers on Facebook. But that's kind of how it feels. That's what
Yeah.
it reminds me of.
Originally, Elon said that only blue verified people were going to show up in the For You page at all. And then he sort of rolled it back the next morning and said, but the people you follow will also show up in the For You page.
Right.
So
I feel like that should have been obvious, but I also think, I mean, I didn't think that was obvious just because of how many bad decisions Twitter has made.
yeah, it just
Recent-
means that you won't show up to people who don't know who you are already.
Yeah.
So
But
your
like that
growth is
ultimately
stunted or whatever.
that is a lot of what Twitter is. Like a lot of times some of my favorite stuff on Twitter is because like a lot of people I know liked things or because something within my like I've been seeing a lot of awesome Devils tweets recently from accounts that I don't know about because like they're on a pretty good streak right now and I love that content. Like
Yeah,
it
like
is
David,
it's
the-
good discoverability.
The
but-
reason that you hate like Instagram Reels is the same reason it's so successful. It's
I
like
know.
a lot of the most
I know.
successful and best social media things right now
Yeah.
are by surfacing content that you weren't following
Totally.
and showing you the coolest stuff that you were never going to see otherwise.
Coolest.
That's TikTok,
The
that's
most
Instagram
addicting.
Reels, that's the For You page, that's
Yeah.
all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so if you move in this, like, I'm just fast forwarding now, like you make Twitter Blue this like site-wide thing where nobody who's not paying gets recommended. okay, now you just nuked most of the interesting content that people were spending meaningful time on Twitter engaging with. I think that's backwards.
I mean,
I think it's pretty backwards.
the ultimate goal on all of these social media websites is to keep you on the site as long as possible, right? I feel like limiting this For You page, which is supposed to keep you on as long as possible, is bad. It's bad. You're going to spend less time on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's not what Twitter wants. Maybe that's what we want. Maybe it's beneficial for us, but it's not beneficial for making any money.
Yeah.
For a company that just got valued at half of what it got paid for.
Less
So
than half.
Not a great look.
Well, and Elon said they got valued at 20 billion, but everyone else was like, it's way lower.
Oh god.
Like, who would buy Twitter right now? You know?
I'll buy it for $8.
It's second Elon.
I value
Convince
it
Elon
at
to buy it
$8.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do wonder how long it's going to be until the money just runs out, because they have to pay like $1 billion a year just in the loan money.
I was gonna say not if they keep firing everyone.
Yeah, they have to pay like an insane amount in just in interest. And I think I saw a stat that only 1.5% of legacy verified users are paying for Twitter Blue right now.
Dude, it's really like just in general, there are not a lot of. It was like 280,000.
Yeah, 280,000
Blue
verified
users,
and then 1.5% of those people are paying.
So
for
it
Blue.
feels like there are like two paths forward that people like Elon are probably considering. One is just sprint towards profitability.
Yeah.
And the other is like long-term health of the platform.
Yeah.
And if you sprint towards profitability, you trim all the loose fat, like you get rid of all the things and you try to get as many people paying as possible, you will probably achieve that at the expense of the future of the platform, because now it'll look just like Facebook. On the other end of it is like showing people random things, like recommending new things they wouldn't have seen otherwise, For You page, showing people all this diverse content, and then getting them to spend more time on the site and then slowly getting ads in there, kind of like where TikTok is at, kind of like where YouTube Shorts is at, Instagram Reels. It's not the best way to be profitable, but it is the healthiest platform. So pick a road and commit to it and see what happens, I guess.
Well, when you've got a lot of debt,
then you pick
so
that
much
road.
you can do.
It seems like that's what like, and if it's 280,000 or Blue users right now, and like let's say FOMO with these next couple of updates coming up bring more people into that, I still can't see it being a number that is healthy for the platform, like enough to save the platform.
Yeah.
And then you're still sprinting down the path of destruction, which just I mean
Down the
here's
path of destruction.
right? Am I not? It's like but like just to show, I feel like I thought this was kind of funny. It was a rumor, so let's take it with a grain of salt. But there's a leak of potentially a Twitter Blue settings page where you could hide your blue check mark, because apparently so many people who are subscribing to Twitter Blue are getting made fun of for paying for Twitter.
So you still get the algorithmic boosts, but you don't have to be shamed for paying.
So if you're one of those like 30 follower Twitter Blue verified users who are getting made fun of every time they respond to something, you can hide it.
It's so funny.
I asked you guys this before and you had one example, but have you ever seen something where you pay to be like the premium tier of something, but then also you're like, I don't want people to know I'm the
which is
premium
exactly Tinder.
That you guys
the Tinder
said
example we were talking about.
Yeah.
There's the newest like highest paid Tinder feature is to be able to scroll Tinder but not show up.
Right.
So you're just able to just like match with people.
It's like a shame.
That's like shady.
It's like a shame thing. Or
shady.
But it's
yeah,
also like on Twitter, it's like a hide this out of shame button.
exactly.
But the people that feel the most shame are probably the people that are most willing to pay for it.
That's
Which
true.
is really depressing.
It is what it is. I mean,
really taking advantage of
Call
people.
like it is. It's a shame. There are real people getting shamed for it, but it's also like, wasn't the original point so like you can verify that you're a real person?
Yes.
Why would you pay to be a real person but then hide it? And nobody knows
Because you
you're
get made fun of.
Because it's not about being a real person. That's not what the verified badge even means
I
anymore.
guess, yeah,
It's
it doesn't even
basically
mean that.
just Twitter Plus.
Yeah.
It's just being able to be surfaced more. That's all it is.
I do want to say exactly what you said, though. Elon's reasoning for saying the For You page should have the verification is because that proves there will be it's the only way to combat the bots and AI bot swarms on the For You page. But also at the same time, it just like,
I must be missing that.
if I'm a bot with like, I don't get that much on my
I don't
For You
see
page.
AI bot swarms on any For You pages on any social media. Maybe I'm missing that. I know it's constantly being combated, but like I scroll TikTok and I get TikToks.
Listen, I'm with you. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but like also at the same time, if I'm a bot whose ultimate goal is to either like spread misinformation or scam people, like I'll pay $8. Like that seems like a great return on investment.
What's stopping them from getting verified?
Exactly. Nothing.
Yeah, interesting.
Um,
Damn.
we are dumping on Twitter a lot. There was one thing recently that I haven't seen an announcement for on Twitter that I actually think is a great idea.
Whoa.
And I think I've only seen it in very small scenarios, but I do think it's kind of a cool new feature.
We're only
is
allowed to
that?
be negative here. Andrew.
We're only sorry. I'll throw my one thing in there so all of our negative things.
Yeah, go for
say,
it.
Okay. If you look at Carl Pay's profile on Twitter right now,
Oh yeah.
it says Carl Pay. Next to it has his blue check mark. And then next to that, it actually has the nothing logo. And if you were to click on that, it'll bring you to the nothing page. Or if you click on that in your Twitter app, it'll come up and say, Carl Pay is a verified user based on his affiliation with Nothing, which is a verified company, because now we have yellow check marks for verified companies.
Which there's not that many verified companies because it costs a ton. It's like $1,000 a month or something.
Also, just really quick, how come blue check verified is flat, but the yellow check verified
Has a
is like
shadow.
3D and has a
Because
shadow?
Design, Andrew.
Design. Tim's losing his mind. But so I can only find it on like Carl's, and someone said a different.
I found
who's
one
this?
on a Twitter designer.
Twitter person,
She
okay.
has a little Twitter logo next
Yeah.
to her check mark. When you click on it, it does.
I
the
think
whole-
that's really cool. I
That'd
think
be
so. You
cool.
can tell why someone's verified based on a company, and like you said, it costs a ton of money to get company verified.
Yeah.
Why don't we charge companies verification process based on their size, and then they get to delegate actual verified users on who works with them? Then you can have a bunch of journalists and reporters and stuff like that who actually get verified without having to pay $8 a month and can actually show that they're a part affiliated with the
Yeah.
company. Like, this seems like what could have been a very good way to handle Twitter verification and actually make some money off of charging companies who are willing to pay it as a business expense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone who writes for a certain site, everyone
Exactly.
who's
Right.
part of a certain
Why isn't
company.
CNN doing this? Why isn't Fox doing this? Like, why? And then all their reporters,
It would
why
be
aren't
good
they
for
verified
like
to do that?
journalists and people at important, scary companies.
Exactly.
But it wouldn't really work for like regular celebrities because like who are they affiliated?
True. And like, it would, in our scenario, would Marquez be like, he is verified,
have a
but also
little
under
MKBHD
MKBHD. But if like, and then we could be
Oh, we'd
verified
have to
under
have a
that,
separate
like,
MKBHD page.
it's
that-
an interesting,
the
I don't know.
company.
I thought it was a cool step. I think it's a cool feature.
Yeah.
It's also on like 10 accounts that I can find. Tim Cook doesn't have it. Satya doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Elon doesn't even have
It seems like it's
connected to
only
anything.
Twitter, Amazon, and nothing.
But nothing.
Yeah.
The three giants
The
of
big
the tech
three.
world. Yeah.
The big three.
Guys, Roku's next.
That's
Ooh,
happening.
deep cut. Deep cut. They lost all their money.
Is that all we have to say about Twitter? I think
That's
that's
all
it.
I have to say about Twitter for now.
for now.
I think that's a good one.
I miss
Trademark.
Flamingo.
Don't pay for Twitter. Oh, you can't even pay for Waveform. If you could, you should pay for Waveform instead of Twitter. We're cooler.
That's true. If you gave me $8 a month, I would smile. If you gave Twitter $8 a month, Elon would not smile.
Take that into consideration, folks.
Checkmate.
Before we do our ad break and do our little last bit about Apple, let's take a quick trivia detour.
All right, to try and bring in a little more fun into this episode, we're going to do another audio round. One of Ellis's favorites.
yes.
The listeners love that.
All right, so if you can tell me what piece of high voltage electrical equipment makes this sound. Also, maybe this sound.
Oh, yes.
Also, this sound. And maybe this sound.
Oh, my gosh.
Were those not all the same sounds?
They were very similar.
That's the
And that one. Same device. If you can name it, you get the
same
point.
exact device or
think
same
I-
type of device?
I think
Same
I have.
type of device.
I think I have this. I think. Anyway, yeah, whatever. No one cares what I think.
I do.
Oh.
Ad break.
All right, welcome back. Literally during that ad break,
Breaking
a little bit of
news!
breaking news just happened, which is as we were sitting here on the podcast on Wednesday afternoon, Apple sent out its invites for WWDC 2023. Curiously, that's exactly what we were going to talk about in this last segment. But that makes it even easier because we get to overanalyze the invitation, which I'll describe for our audio listeners, but our video listeners are looking at it now, appears to be a series of lenses in concentric circles. which if you've ever seen a VR headset is just what they look like from the inside.
That's true.
It's a bunch of concentric lenses and circles in a lens in a VR
Now
headset.
I see what you're talking about.
So
Okay.
It's also
in
the rainbow at Apple Park.
It is,
Yeah.
of course, and that's probably what they would all say. But
Yeah.
come on, we all
No,
know
I know.
so.
It's like supposed to be both.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, and that's the Apple logo.
You got it.
Wow.
You got it. And it says WWDC. So that's where we're at. I think what's a little more interesting is we are expecting some sort of a mixed reality headset or something like that. And the story behind it is really interesting, which is as secretive as a company as Apple is, it's kind of leaked out that like they're really pushing to have the headset ready to go by WWDC. And it doesn't seem like it's actually going to be ready to go, which is something we've heard about other previous products. The
sure.
famous, well, I was going to say the famous original iPhone launch story is like Steve Jobs at the last minute going, you know what? We can't do resistive. We need a glass capacitive touchscreen. And that being a last second pivot and that being a huge differentiating factor for the iPhone. And this might be Tim Cook's moment of like last second, get this thing ready to go. We're late. We need it to ship. It's happening now. For Apple's mixed reality headset, whatever it's going to be. But yeah, there's a lot of turmoil. Some apparently employees have left the project. Some questions being asked inside Apple HQ. I'm very curious about it.
Yeah, the New York Times had an article just saying about how there are some engineers and people working on the project who are expressing a lot of doubt on the release of the device and whether or not it's ready. And like you said, some of them have gone as far as like exiting the actual project.
Yes.
But I do believe there's a rumor that they showed it off to about 100 investors or something, or board members in January. And now that it should be launched, or not launched, announced at WWDC.
So this is the thing, because like
Yeah.
WWDC, first of all, is a worldwide developer conference. It's where they go over software. It's where they talk about code, apps, possible new platforms, things like that. And so if you announce a product at WWDC, notoriously Apple announces a product and it's ready to go shortly after. Announced today, shipping in 2 weeks. Announced today, shipping this Friday. That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It would feel kind of un-Apple-like to go, hey, WWDC, new AR, VR platform, developers start your engines, but the product isn't coming till next year.
So here's something that I read in this article that I don't think we've talked about, and maybe you guys have seen it other than I have, but two things I've learned from here that Mark Gurman said was, one, that the device is going to cost $3,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy. But it also seems like this is a developer. This is like specifically a developer device. Yeah. And that, remember we talked about once there was rumors already of the second gen?
Yes.
That will be the consumer cheaper version. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we'll see next year. So this is potentially, and makes perfect sense for WWDC, a like developer only product.
Yeah.
But still costs the developer $3,000?
Yeah.
And then the public can't buy it?
No, you could.
Because you know what happens
like
when
the
Apple...
MetaQuest Pro.
Right. So Apple announces products and like if they show it on stage, people are going to try to buy it.
For sure.
So if it's available to the public, you know how there was like that
remember the Magic
Apple
Leap?
Silicon Mac Mini? Or whatever it was, and it was like, if you want to develop for Apple Silicon, you can get this developer kit. It's the early Apple Silicon Mac Mini. People all over the internet were like, can I buy one? It's just a developer
you
kit.
Could, though, if you had a developer account.
Right.
Which only costs $100 a year.
Right. So is this going to be available to the public, encourage development, or is this a developer-only product that you spend $3,000 on a developer kit?
I think it's that.
Okay.
Because Tim Cook is specifically interested in AR and not nearly as much in VR. And that's why they've been pushing all of this insane AR stuff like every year with the iPhone, with LiDAR and all this different stuff.
Yeah.
I think that they understand that the most useful AR applications right now are for like business and manufacturing and all of that kind of stuff. And they also are going to need to build out an app ecosystem because this is an entire different type of device.
Yeah.
So if they release it strictly to developers at the beginning with a $3,000 device, like Andrew said, they cut the price down by making it cheaper over the next year or two, and then eventually it trickles down to consumers. It's sort of like the original Apple Watch was really bad.
Yeah.
And people still bought it, but it would have been, if it was any other company besides Apple, they would have just canceled the product, right?
But they had long-term aspirations with apps being development,
exactly,
things like that.
And Apple has long-term aspirations where maybe on Gen 5 or Gen 6, that's when it's like affordable enough for mass adoption.
I mean, and even Gen 2, like I think the 3,000 price tag might be part of, like, I get what you're saying in that is this developer only, but people are going to want to buy it anyways. If you throw a $3,000 price tag and also say like this is a developer like tool essentially. Yeah. Remember Magic Leap? Like Magic Leap didn't come out as like a full blown consumer. You could buy it, but there were all the stipulations that like this is for developers and they're creating things on it and like it's not going to be perfect. So if you throw a price tag, $3,000 is crazy.
It's high enough to stop regular people from buying.
Exactly. The MetaQuest Pro was $1,500 and is already $500 cheaper.
Okay, think of it this way. Will it be in an Apple store or not?
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
Maybe like a product demo.
I don't think that Gen 1 will be in an Apple store.
I would put
I think Gen 2 will be in an Apple store.
I agree.
Okay.
What if they're going to make it a really cool platform for people who develop in other AR platforms like Meta's Spark and stuff like that to become like a part of their toolkit, you know, like maybe even if I'm sure Apple's going to release some sort of their AR development platform, but I could see that like if you were an AR studio and this is the best headset you could buy, 3,000's worth it.
Then you would do it, but you'd have to go through. Yeah, it's just interesting.
I think as a developer, it's worth 3,000.
Yeah, I think the presentation is going to say everything about this. Like if they go on stage and it's WWDC for the first 45 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes were like, we've been working on these new VR, AR experiences that connect with what we've been talking about with LiDAR, with the iPhone. And if you want to develop apps for a new experience, we've got this developer kit. It's a $3,000 kit. Here's a little image of it. Okay, goodbye. That's like just for developers. And then you never get to see it in stores. They just continue development in the background and get it in the hands of developers who actually make the apps. And they hope they get a killer app out of it. And that's awesome. Or it gets presented as something that we should buy. We should be interested in. It's $3,000.
I think it's the
sounds like we don't
one.
expect that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the first with a little more. I feel like they'll have to show it a little bit, not just be like, this is it. I think they'll show a little bit of like, this is why we think AR VR is like the future, and here's some things we're already doing with it, and here's how developers can use this to create things in that scenario.
This is why I think we're actually been getting so many leaks about the second generation. I wouldn't even necessarily think of it as a second generation. I would think of it as a developer model and a consumer model.
Yeah.
Like it's way cut down.
For sure.
But as long as you put up something for developers to actually work with, then eventually people will buy the cheaper one and they'll be able to use the applications that the developer model built.
I guess we all kind of expect an eventual consumer-facing Apple mixed reality headset to still be expensive.
For sure, yes.
That's why I don't think any of us like were totally shocked at $3,000. But I think if they're going to go into a store and start selling this to people, it's got to be less than, it's got to be $1,000. It's got to be like 1,200, something like that. Because it's an iPhone accessory.
Right. MetaQuest Pro in 6 months has dropped 30% of its price. So like that's a really tough price point.
It'd be quite ironic if Apple launching this saved Meta as a company.
Well, it's also funny because the competition is going to be really interesting. Most people today do not buy $1,000 VR headset. Most people buy a Quest 2 or something like $100, $200, and that's good enough. And you get to play the games and you get the controllers and it's plastic and it's fine. And I don't know that there's any set of expectations or competition right now for a $1,500 iPhone accessory headset.
I do think that Google Glass even Enterprise Edition shut down last week. And right now there is no competition in the landscape of like AR for enterprise, AR for actually useful stuff besides like the Vive, but that's not mixed reality. That's I mean there is a mixed reality function. But I think that like there's very little competition in that space. And if Apple can actually get into this like manufacturing space, which Apple's always been a consumer only company, but if they're able to get into a space where like huge companies are buying, you know, like Accenture levels of this where they buy 15,000 of them, that's like a big cash cow.
I do think this is still going to be like full goggles. I don't think this is going to be like the glass. There's been a lot of rumors. Okay,
but it's mixed. It'll still be full goggles, but it is focused on mixed reality more than than virtual reality.
I just don't see Apple doing anything halfway. Like they're not going to open a brand new product category in their store in the next 5 years without this model being the one to get people excited about it.
Right.
So I think when they announce something on June 5th or whenever it is, they're going to try and like hype it up. Like this is the thing.
But this is why they do it at WWDC.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be...
because they need the developers.
Right,
It's not to get the consumers excited. It's to get the developers developing.
Right. But I don't think this is going to be something you see in the stores.
No.
I could
think
see it in like the flagship stores. Like if you go to the Fifth Ave store, I could see a little corner where they're showing this off.
that it's
I
just
don't
a
think they'll
demo.
Gen 2.
Yeah, like a demo with like, because they already have
think
like
so.
a couple games.
They've
been working on this for years.
Yeah, I think they probably have already looped some developers in and have had some games or some experiences that they've been working on that they will be able to show on stage in order to go, hey, the rest of you developers, you've got your ideas going around, right? You're going to want to do this too. And so they get to making whatever they think is good for AR, VR. And maybe in the stores, they get to share some demos with people with the ones
I
they've
don't
already
think
been
so.
working on.
I think the next, like you said, it's hard calling it next gen, but the consumer version later, I think that's what goes in stores. This is just kind of like you said with the silicone one that they just never announced that.
Yeah, the
like
Apple
this is
Silicon
for
Mac.
this is for people to start building on. So when they do release the consumer one, that's what.
And we're all
it
just
has stuff
hyping it
on
because it's a new Apple product.
because we're
It's a new Apple
nerds.
category.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's also interesting that like this could be a really interesting moment for Tim Cook because like he is like full blown like all sail ahead on AR and the fact that a lot of the employees that are even just like working on the project are like, I don't know about this is like, it's kind of like a make or break it moment.
There's a really interesting quote I have in here from the Times article that just says, some internal skeptics have questioned if the new device is a solution in search of a problem, unlike the iPod, which puts digital songs in people's pockets, and the iPhone, which combine the abilities of a music player and a phone. The headset hasn't been driven by the same clarity.
Yeah.
Just thought that was a really great quote that I don't think any of us see Apple seeing a lot.
Yeah.
It also makes me, you said this is an iPhone accessory. I think it's going to be
Dedicated.
standalone.
I think every Apple product in the world
Okay.
has to be tied to the iPhone.
I can agree with you on that, but it's just like the clarity there at least is. I do agree with that. I don't think it's going to be like you need an iPhone to do this. You can do it by yourself. I'm sure you can do it by yourself.
I just think like when there becomes competition, because when Apple comes out with a headset, boom, expect 7 more headsets from Samsung. Everybody else is going to make headsets in the same price category, in the same range. And it's like now what differentiates the Apple one? If you have the developers and the apps, that's good. But if you have a couple of things, which is what Apple does, which is like, if you have an iPhone, it's connected to your account and like all these things work well with it. And suddenly you're taking a FaceTime call on it. Like all these things are going to be plugged in to that ecosystem for sure.
Yeah, I'm just making the difference between like that and like how Nreal is like glasses as an accessory. Like it just shows what's on your phone. I think it'll be able to do everything by itself. It's connected to your phone and has benefits of being connected to your phone, but it's still a standalone product where if you leave your phone in the bedroom, it'll still work in the living room.
Sure. I'll put it this way. It will be worse if you have an Android phone.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
sure.
or just won't work at all.
It'll be worse.
It has one big thing going for it too, is that when the consumer one initially comes out, it will be sold in Apple stores. I think people really underestimate how powerful that is.
But then you also have to do the thing that the HTC Vive did when it first came out in Microsoft stores, where you have to like wipe the lenses and clean it before people do a demo.
That
and
is
schedule a demo.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I do agree that it's way, way, way easier to create an incredibly popular product if you are just taking existing standalone gadgets and mixing them into something more portable. But taking a category that people don't even really have a problem with yet and then just creating a solution for something that doesn't necessarily exist is definitely risky.
I mean, maybe it's just like the best fidelity, highest accuracy tracking version of kind of something like Glass or like Magic Leap or something that we've kind of already seen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I am sad that Google Glass like had all those privacy issues, and that was the whole reason it kind of shut down.
Yeah, Glass had a camera on it.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Not great.
And even the Snapchat Spectacles had like the ring that would go in a circle, so people knew you were recording. But I feel like the category could have really moved forward if they had just not messed that part up.
There for sure has got to be like an angle from Apple where they explain on stage why it doesn't have a camera and a microphone.
Yeah.
And they go into depth about privacy, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I don't think it matters though. I feel like this is you're not walking around with these on.
If it's AR, people are going to try it all kinds of places.
I feel like it's like AR, like the MetaQuest Pro is like, it's like increasing your workspace that you're in, but it's probably going to be a big clunky set that you're not like walking around the street on.
Fair.
It probably needs internet connectivity and stuff like that. And
it's just something about having a camera and a mic that someone doesn't know if you're recording with it or not. It just makes people uneasy in general. So that'll always, like, if Apple puts a mic in it and doesn't tell you, that's there's just no way they do that. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna have to explain why there's a mic in it, or they're gonna shout out why they didn't put a mic in it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's gonna be the second one.
I feel like they will have a mic in it.
it has to have a mic and a camera in it. I think it's just. I feel like
it'll have sensors and things for tracking, but I don't know if it will have a mic.
I think it'll have a mic and a camera in it. I think it has to if you need to be in this like meta world.
Continuity camera, baby.
It's like AR and VR, right?
I guess
like
if you do FaceTimes, you need.
Yeah, if you need FaceTime,
What if?
it needs a microphone? There's no way it doesn't have a microphone.
But what if the mics are just in your AirPods?
Or your iPhone.
You know, like what if it's designed
It'll probably have a
to
mic.
work with AirPods?
Just become a robots.
It'll probably need a mic for voice calls or whatever basic stuff. But yeah, cameras freak people out, so that was kind of doomed when Glass had it.
I just want to say, as someone who actually like, and you can roast me for this, but as someone who genuinely enjoyed the MetaQuest Pro,
Boo.
yeah,
Quick to
bring it on.
Yeah.
That thing gets your forehead so sweaty. The idea of taking it outside is like laughable. Like forget the weight and the size and how silly you would look. You'd be just walking down the street sweating buckets. It'd be so funny.
Yeah.
There's just a gigantic gap in the form factor. Like the difference between that and Google Glass, which is just like, it's a pair of glasses with a prism and a screen. It's like I walk in and check the weather up in the corner of my vision. Like somewhere in there is an opportunity. Of course, that's how the companies see it, but like you've got to be good.
I think this is going to look way more like the Quest Pro than it's going to look like Google Glass. Way more goggles, full, giant, clunky, especially the developer version
And real
of it.
glasses.
No, I don't think it's going to look. It's going to be way clunkier than Unreal.
Interesting.
The developer model
I
for
think so.
sure.
I mean, all the like kind of renders, which I know have been around for forever, but they're full blown goggles.
A lot of them are just VR headsets, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I think we all remain healthily skeptical, and I am looking forward to WWDC, which we now have a date for, which is sick.
Wait, what is it? June
5th.
Okay.
June 5th.
Which is 6th, no 5th.
Also, by the time this episode comes out, it will be April Fool's Day tomorrow. So this is just your annual reminder not to take any headlines you see, probably starting when this releases on the 31st. Probably don't take any headlines too seriously, and double check if any images you see have 6 fingers or not. So I'll leave it. We should do the trivia questions to finish up this episode and wrap. I already wrote
Your answers?
I already wrote both my answers. I'm not very confident with either, which is why I'm just not even going to change them.
All right.
Yeah.
So, quick update on the score. Marquez, you have 10. Andrew has 8. David, you have 11. So,
And David wrote the questions.
Nah.
first question.
Wow.
The word Transformers was introduced by a team at Google in 2017. That's where the T in ChatGPT comes from. What was the name of that team?
By the way, I only have a 50% chance of getting this right. Just so you know.
What?
I don't even know what to attempt to
That's a
guess
pretty
for
good
this.
percentage.
Like, I'm so.
I'm going to guess I'm wrong.
If I get it wrong, can
You
I
lose a point.
No.
If you get it wrong, Andrew gets a point.
Okay. If I get it wrong, I want to guess what the other one is. You don't have to give me the point. I just want to guess.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Flip them and read.
Google Brain. Let's
Google
go.
Brain.
I wrote the AI team.
I wrote
Marquez.
Google X.
Oh,
Google X doesn't really exist anymore, right?
that I don't know, but Google Brain was a Google X project that eventually got taken back
Spun
up by
out.
Google. So
Yeah, I wouldn't call it X.
I'll give you.
Google
didn't know
X,
they-
Google Brain is Google X project.
Ellis,
you asked me
Ellis,
what was the
what do you
team. I think I'd be right.
Ellis, I'll
What was the question technically? What
give
was
the point.
team?
Give him the point. That's correct.
All right, I'll take it. Because the question was, what was the team?
What was the name of the team?
And all of them work
But
on
Google
AI,
Brain
right?
is a...
Google Brain is the project, and Google X is the team that made the
Well, no,
project.
it's spun out. Google Brain is now a spun out thing.
Well, yeah, after, but it was
not
originally a
team.
Project X team. Project X.
So is
X or
Google Brain
X
a team name?
Now
or-
it's a team name.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
What other team names are over there?
I don't know. A lot.
I didn't
the
name
other
them.
one I was thinking was DeepMind, but
Oh,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm
no,
glad
that's
that I got it right.
Yeah, good one. Nice. Okay.
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Next
doesn't it?
question brought to you by Ellis.
All right. So let's see if we can identify this sound. Or maybe this sound. Or one of these. Or maybe one of these.
Wait, it is a...
And what product category is this?
I wouldn't describe it as a product. It's in almost every product you use. I would tell you exactly what this component does, but I think that would give it away.
I don't think it will.
I think it will.
Really?
It's
Oh.
currently in.
It uses induction to turn one voltage into another voltage.
I mean,
I'm
I'm just
so wrong.
I'm leaving whatever.
The funny thing is, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong,
Guys.
and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong at naming the wrong thing.
I think actually, Andrew, that you're about to get it right.
Wait, what did you say?
Just based on what you
I'm
said, I
def-
think
no,
you're about to
I'm
nail
wrong.
it.
What did you say?
I said, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, and I'm also pretty sure the thing I'm wrong about is named wrong, incorrectly. Like I have an
you
idea of
spelled-
something, I'm naming that thing incorrectly, and that thing isn't even the answer to the real
it's
question.
in almost every product.
currently.
Okay,
Currently?
That was cool.
you guys are really putting a lot of stress on this. Is it in every single smartphone? It's in most high-end smartphones that I can think of.
we're-
I'll give you a hint. It's not in a Pixel 5a.
Jeez, that's
That's
tough.
I feel like we're getting way too specific
I
now.
know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
definitely
It's just like, I
wrong.
just want an answer for the question.
I
Yeah.
have no idea anymore.
It's not.
It's in a
all.
microwave. It's in every television set. It's in all of these cameras.
I just
it's
want you
in
to keep
every
giving
single
us-
power
yeah.
supply.
Keep giving us hints until one of us gets it right.
It's made of two
Okay,
coils
oh, wait, I'm-
separated by a small bit of air.
I know what it is. Unless I don't.
I want to all
I feel like
show
we
our
need to
answers
not.
now.
Yeah,
wait,
I'm just gonna
flip
show
these
it,
boards.
but
Thank you.
is that what it
got it
was?
right.
I feel like
It's a transformer. It's the theme of today's.
I know
trivia.
this
Oh.
I got it right.
way too
Why
many
would-
questions asked on that
So
one.
5A not have transformers.
Wireless charging is just a transformer. It's two coils separated by a little bit of air that can uses
I
magnetic
started
induction
think-
to send a voltage.
When you
across.
said on top of a telephone pole, I was like,
Yeah.
is it just transformer? But
It is.
I feel like we went.
off the rails.
Can you just reestablish to the audience that I am the
You're,
You didn't
you're
get the
correct
point, though.
after he basically
Yeah.
told you what
You didn't
it
get the point because
was.
the timer was out. So
Okay.
What?
sorry.
35 different
Give
hints later.
David the point. Give David the
No.
point.
No,
That's why I played
I'll
the
argue
time.
that
Wait, you're
one.
saying
None of us get the
I
point?
played the timer and all of
No,
you
but I was
ignored it.
writing it while you were doing
No,
it.
I'm
you
gonna
weren't. I was
protest the
watching
point.
you.
I protest that point.
I'm
David, I think-
submitting a formal request to the referees union to take back the points.
I think David, you get the point, but I'm outvoted. Unfortunately,
He told you at the end.
Did you write transformer after the timer went up?
No. When it was
Yes.
going dum ba dum
All right.
ba-dum.
It was definitely
We'll
over.
check the tape. If
Okay.
David wrote his answer before the timer expired, we'll give him the point.
I think I was writing it while the timer thing was going.
So
We'll check
that's-
the tape.
We'll check the buzzer beater on that one. So that'll be how we finish the scores. It's the buzzer beater effect. Other than that, that's a good place to end the podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Check for the fingers. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Check for my.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Robin. We're partnered with the Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro outro was created by Vane Sill.